is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Out here on Nebraska's calm, welcoming waters, fishing is a breeze. It's the sweet spot where solo anglers find quiet before the catch, families reel in memories, and first-timers discover what makes fishing so special. From the Panhandle to the Platte, the best fishing happens here, beneath Nebraska skies. Get started at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
This is On the Block with Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Oh, welcome to it. Lots to get to on a Thursday. Going to be a fun show. I'm Austin Orman. To my left is Jay Foreman. Some explosive news out of the NFL to get to here in our first segment. Some stuff we knew. It is not the schedule.
It's not the schedule?
It is not the we can talk about it. We got to talk about that schedule.
Oh, we will.
It messed up. You see my Colts did? They did Tyreek Hill wrong.
I know, but do you see?
It's pretty funny, though.
Buffalo going down to H-Town.
Woo! And where Jay Foreman's going to be. Alumni weekend or not. Yeah. On and cracking.
Yeah, we got to see what's up with that.
Anyways, this is On the Block, brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Special ingredient butcher shop with how many Lincoln locations, Jay Foreman?
3.
And how many in Omaha?
1. But you know that's always expanding, though.
True. Just for now. So 4 locations in the area for you to get to. Tomorrow is Fired Up Friday, the 84th and Havelock location. Let's pull up, see what the Mercado is cooking up for Fired Up Fridays. Tomorrow, it will be, drum roll please, as the menu loads 4 pixels at a time. French dip. Ooh. French dip from the Mercado. Shaved New York strip on a TDK hoagie with some Gruyere cheese whiz, caramelized onions, and au jus with loaded potato casserole. Bacon, cheddar, scallions, sour cream, and crispy shoestring potatoes. All that for $18 at 84th and Havelock tomorrow.
I like that.
Get you there.
You like French dip?
I do love me some French dip. I'm a fan.
You know what? To be honest with you, speaking of the NFL, we'll get to it, though. I think the first time I ever had French dip was in Buffalo.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to think, we were meat and potatoes in Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And before that, it was, when I was at home, it was straight like ramen noodles.
Heck yeah. Did you ever burn your ramen noodles?
No. TV dinners.
Mm.
Yeah.
Were you a guy that learned to put the scrambled egg on your ramen noodles?
No, I still haven't. I've seen it. Now, I told you how I watched it. I sent you that dude that I watched that his voice doesn't match up with him. I'm gonna start putting hard-boiled eggs in there and really start getting busy.
That to me is doing too much. Ramen is supposed to be simple and quick, but I respect you if you go above and beyond to do that. Not going above and beyond, the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams. Before we get to that, Jay, we knew that Caleb Williams didn't necessarily want to play for the Chicago Bears. He didn't want to. His dad didn't necessarily like it. But there's a new book coming out by Seth Wickersham, who's done a lot of this kind of investigative reporting. He's the one that did a lot of that with the Patriots, Belichick, Kraft, Brady. He's all over it. His new book is going to be American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. And one of the quotes that he worked with ESPN, one of the ones that he gave them, says this: Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die. Carl Williams, Caleb's father, told Seth Wickersham. Caleb Williams wondered aloud to confidants, "Do I want to go there? I don't think I can do it with Waldron," referring, of course, to former Bears offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. So there's that. They were not sold on the leadership of the football staff. We know that Mr. Williams, the elder, says he didn't want his kid playing for the Bears. But, Jay, we didn't know on the record how far the Williams family was potentially willing to take this. They were looking at the UFL. They were looking at challenging the rookie cap in court, saying it's unconstitutional. It caps his wages, looking at suing the NFL draft. It's not fair. We don't get to pick where we get to go. We would rather try to blow up your process or sit out a year by going to the UFL and trying to become a free agent after 1 year in the UFL and start a bidding war for his services. Obviously, that didn't happen. But can you imagine if it would have for a guy like Caleb Williams, his hype at the time?
Yeah, I mean, his dad on good, I guess, good information, and good knowledge was during the season when he was still playing, setting the groundwork. And then that's where it came back that where USC was up trying to get it close to 20 million or 10 to 20 million to get him to stay. That was real.
Yeah.
It was not fake. It was real. And reluctantly went and became the number one pick. Now, also, let's not forget, he essentially went into Lincoln Riley's office and was like, "You better start playing my son or he's gone." Now, circumstances or by chance, he really started to outplay Spencer Rattler. Now, I think it was a couple unique plays and situations. And, the situation, I think, kind of got out of hand for Spencer Rattler. And it was some of his own doing, but also some of it was Caleb Williams was that good. And then, obviously, he went to USC and things continue to progress. So this is not anything new from the Williams family. And you know what? Everything that he's kind of pushed is kind of came to fruition. And his son's, been pretty dang good. But I think the Bears situation was a little bit different and along the lines of where Eli Manning didn't want to play for the Chargers at that time. But the Bears, over the history of the NFL, you got to think, have never had a franchise quarterback. He's viewing his son as a franchise quarterback. They've never had one. Arguably the most storied franchise in NFL history has never had a franchise quarterback.
Never.
So it's not apples.
They've had more popes than 4,000-yard passers.
Right, exactly. And you got to think Kyle Orton is probably the best guy that they've had in recent history.
Shoot, smoking Jay Cutler?
Kyle Orton. I'll go with Kyle Orton.
Okay.
I even might put Rex Grossman because they went to the Super Bowl. Right? I mean,
that defense was hellified.
Okay, but Rex Grossman was the fact that we're having this conversation is the reason why.
Is the conversation.
Right. And so also I think it drove up the anxiety for the Bears. And the Bears locked in. It was a foregone conclusion. It was never any back and forth who was going to be the number one pick. So essentially, whether it was posturing or real, it was all done for a reason. And every like part of it is true. Now I think the bigger part of it is when you get into this report of nobody there to watch film with him.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Because there's a lot more for him just getting to Chicago to begin with.
Yeah. Okay.
So some more from
I think
this.
that's the cherry on the top.
It absolutely is. Of the poop sandwich is what it is.
Yeah, it's well, I
Poop
say
Sunday, I
what
guess.
diarrhea you want. You chose the diarrhea. Now you better get some Imodium. And you didn't have it.
They tried Imodium.
Yeah.
In the Williams family, Imodium, they wanted it to be the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
Here's another paragraph from this ESPN piece. After an up-and-down final season at USC, Caleb Williams was unsure of what he wanted to do as he prepared for the 2024 NFL Draft. At the NFL Combine that year, he met with Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell. The two hit it off, and Caleb Williams began to dream of what it would be like to play for Minnesota. "I need to go to the Vikings," he told his father. "Let's do it," his father replied, but both Caleb and Carl knew that a trade to a division rival was extremely unlikely. Bears GM Ryan Poles stood firm, telling Williams, "We're drafting you no matter what." Let's pause there, and we'll jump right back in a second. Can you imagine Caleb Williams throwing to Justin Jefferson? TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah, I mean, it would be, well, I think I mean, how much better can you be than Sam Darnold besides the 3 games that he really crapped the bed?
Right. The 3 important ones.
Right. Well, in the offensive line now,
Yes.
was really, I think Chicago's line was probably a little bit better. So
Mhm.
it probably at the max looked a lot like it did last year.
Yeah.
I think more importantly is what I kind of touched on before. It's the coaching with Kevin O'Connell.
Very well respected. Dude.
Well respected. A former quarterback himself
Mhm.
has been through the trials and tribulations. You got to think in Hard Knocks, he got cut on live TV.
Front of God and everyone.
Right.
Mhm.
And bounced back, got to the Patriots,
Mhm.
learned that way
Mhm.
under Tom Brady, watched him. He knows what it takes.
Mhm.
And sometimes they say, I can coach you better than I can show you. And then, so I think, and then you saw, quite frankly, in small bits now. I mean, we never got to see J.J. McCarthy, but we got to see him in the preseason.
Mhm.
A guy that I thought would maybe just need a redshirt year because he didn't have a lot of passing attempts in college.
Right.
Looked quite natural. And
Mhm.
probably Kevin O'Connell's thinking, like, if I can get my
Hands on this dude.
Woo! With what we have on defense and when we have the ultimate X factor out there, and then also we got Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a little bit, I mean, but that's the way the NFL goes. This is this story or this chapter of these two is not over.
It is not.
It will, because one thing I learned is coaches in the NFL will be around a lot longer than players. And Kevin O'Connell will be somewhere else. And if Caleb has a chance to go somewhere, this, like, let's say budding or this, rosebud infant stage of this relationship is just getting started.
Ted on our Starter Human Jewelers text line says, "You guys are killing me with this news right now. #Skull." Yeah, to imagine what could have been for the Vikings and for Caleb Williams. But, the Bears weren't going to trade the #1 overall pick to a division rival. Not in a million bajillion years.
Not unless you gave him a king's ransom.
And unless you gave him Justin Jefferson, which is not going to help the Bears and not going to happen to begin with. So the book goes on to say that left one option to publicly attack the Bears in the city of Chicago, hoping that it would make the situation untenable, similar to what Jack and John Elway had done with the Baltimore Colts in 1983. His dad, Carl Williams, said that Caleb wasn't happy with his dad taking bullets. He was worried about his dad being too forward-facing and taking too much of the blame. His dad said, "I don't care. I just don't agree with how this stuff, I'm more interested in making sure that Caleb can do what he wants to do." The book goes on to say Caleb was concerned that if they did try and the Bears refused to trade him, it would make a tough situation worse. In the end, Caleb Williams told Wickersham, "I wasn't ready to nuke the city," which, for all the talk about Caleb Williams, NIL diva, Caleb Williams, is he really invested? Maybe it came a little late in the process, and maybe this is giving him too much credit, but at least he realized that, hey, I'm not Elway. Hey, I'm not the Mannings. I don't have this much sway. I got to talk myself into Chicago because that's where I'm going. Let me start to do my best to make the most of this situation and see what I can, because it would have been really easy for the perception that we had of Caleb Williams, diva, me first, team, quiet quitting on the season, only chasing numbers, that sort of thing. Would have been really easy for him and his dad to go scorched earth, see how it works out for him, and keep throwing a pity party and a tantrum. But, Jay, to their credit, or at least to Caleb's credit, he said, "You know what? I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to work. I'm going to do the best I can for Chicago."
Yeah, and I think, I think he probably had a couple talks with Roger Goodell and people, that had a little bit better pulse on the situation, can think past year 1, year 2, year 3, I guess year 4. And he started to welcome the challenge. I mean, really, to be honest with you, should have been an easy sell. Now, the hard thing about it is you got Eberflus, was on more than the hot seat. You knew he wasn't going to be around. So then it had to be like, okay, we got to tread water and try to work on things this first year to set us up for the future. And he couldn't ask for a better head coaching hire right now.
Let's start with Eberflus because, Jay, this is maybe the most damning part of everything, and I'm sure you'll get into why it makes sense that it happened. But the book also says that it sheds lights on Williams' tumultuous rookie season, in which both Eberflus and Shane Waldron, the OC, were fired, and the Bears lost 10 straight games. Here's the quote that everyone has been picking up on. At times, Williams said he would watch film alone with no instruction or guidance from the coaches. "No one tells me what to watch. I just turn it on." There's one thing to be said. If you're a vet, you're a pro, you walk in, you know how to do your film study. But this is a rookie in the NFL for the first time. Sure, if you take the film home and watch it on your own time, good. That's going above and beyond. But this seems to imply that in the team facility, Caleb Williams, number 1 overall prospect, some people think is a potential generational type of guy, was watching film on a bad team on his own with no instruction and guidance. What in the HELL double hockey sticks?
Oh, I mean, I've seen this before. I lived it.
Oh, my.
I lived it.
Why would an NFL team do that to a dude?
Because he's the number one. I've lived this. I say this, and I'll go to bat for David Carr. I think the worst thing that could have happened for him was that Kent Graham got cut, and they cut Kent Graham because Kent Graham wasn't any threat to him.
Right.
He's the number 1 pick in franchise history. Even if he starts, Kent Graham can show him how to be a pro. One of the things that I was blessed to come in as a late round draft choice is I was able to watch guys and have a locker in between 2 Hall of Famers and learn how to be a pro. He didn't.
Right.
And I'll take my situation and I'll throw in Houston. I was lucky enough to go to a great franchise. Ran well. John Butler was a great GM. Ralph Wilson was a great owner. Wade Phillips was a great head coach. Right. And veterans and professionals abound. Right. So you had to get in where you fit in. If you weren't a professional, you stuck out like a sore thumb. It was an easier transition for me to know what work was and how to be a professional. I go to Houston with the background I got from Buffalo. There's some guys that were never professionals. There's some guys that were at professional places, came down there and just lost their mind. Now here comes David Carr, right? It was David Carr, Julius Peppers. You didn't draft Julius Peppers because he had dreads. David Carr is a good-looking dude, married, and Melody is great. And and I knew Derek when he was a little punk, or whatever. He looked really. The funny thing is he'd be doing quarterback drills. I was like, dang, he kind of looked better, better than the older brother. But Kent Graham was in mini camps and all that. There wasn't even a close. It wasn't a quarterback race. You get what I'm saying? But Kent was a pro that played in New York. He knew what it was like to play in a big stage. They cut him and turned the whole team and franchise over to David, and he didn't know. I remember having a conversation with Dave, a very frank conversation with him. 2 times that I had a conversation with. One was about being a pro. Another one was about leadership. And the first one was, I said, David, here's the problem that you have right here. I said, when I get here, you're not here. And when I leave, you ain't here. And he looked at me like he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, look, whether you like it, love it, or hate it, you're the quarterback. If I'm here at 6:30, I get there at 6 or 6:30 at the latest, depending on the day of the week, and you ain't here, and then I'm leaving 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you ain't here, you got to know more than me. I'm the quarterback of the defense. You're a quarterback of the offense and the franchise. They don't want my ugly face up there. You're the one that getting all, the dealerships and all that. So then the lights started to come on. And you know what I mean? And then they brought in Tony Banks, who was a good veteran, probably more of would push him more on the field. You know what I'm saying? And Tony had been through some stuff, and so it was good. And so David started to play better. But I think that set him back like tenfold. He's fighting an uphill battle
from day one.
From day one.
Yeah.
Luckily for Caleb, he was able to. He has so much talent, and they had talent around him. You know what I mean? That he could play him, like kind of get something positive out of it. But it can ruin guys' careers, man.
Caleb Williams' backup last year was Tyson Bagent.
Yeah, who was the guy that his dad was the arm wrestler.
Yeah,
right. But okay, let's go to your Colts. What is the best thing that Irsay and the GM that's crazy?
Ballard.
No, the one that was
Grigson.
No, the one that was the original that drafted Peyton.
Polian.
He was at Buffalo. I remember meeting him at the combine. I was like, geez. But the best thing that they ever did, they had Marshall Faulk there with him.
Yeah.
You had so Marshall Faulk taught him how to read, blitzes, but then also showed him how to be a professional. Now Peyton knew it because he did it in college, but it's a step up from college.
But when you're actually the dude who's doing it,
and there wasn't as many distractions, and you got to think he was at USC. He was able to just to kind of run around and kind of play like quote unquote
Hero ball.
Yeah, hero ball.
Mhm.
That ain't gonna work in the league.
No.
And it didn't work at times.
No.
But he didn't have anybody there to be in his ear and say, "Hey, all right, this is what you need to do." That's the worst thing you could do when you literally jump out there with your neck on the line.
Mhm.
And as a head coach, Eberflus should know that. As a coordinator, you should know that. And as a GM, you have to have a guy there.
Yeah.
I don't care what the salary cap ramification, and really, you got enough money for it.
Mhm.
You should have done it. Luckily, Caleb Williams was able to, play well at times and obviously show enough growth and be competitive enough. And maybe it's from his training from college, or maybe he's just that good that he was able to be somewhat successful. But then the Bears did a really good job of going out and getting an offensive-minded coach that will help him, be successful, hopefully, in the future.
That's a good spot to take a pause for this conversation. We're going to get right back into it when we return. What does year 2 look like for Caleb Williams with what we think will be more of a system in place, even though it's a first-time NFL head coach in Ben Johnson? And stay tuned. Coming up here in about 20 minutes, we'll have your chance to win not only $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, but also a signed copy of Tom Osborne's book, The Legacy of Leadership. Get ready for that in about 20 minutes. When we get back, year 2 for Caleb Williams in light of this book that's coming out. We'll talk about that here during On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through May 18th, enjoy USDA Choice 10-ounce top sirloin steak for $6.99 each. All natural pork steak $2.49 per pound. Carbless canned cocktails 4-packs for $7.99 when you buy 2, and whole watermelons for $5. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law Group and find out how we can help get you the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group. Trial attorneys you can trust.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Prashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com. Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to The Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Four 402-464-5685. If you have any thoughts, any ideas on what year 2 looks like for Caleb Williams in Chicago, I'm Austin Norman, joined by Jay Foreman. That's what we will be going over here during the second segment of On the Block. But Jay, a friend of the program, friend of the station, is a little concerned. David from Renew says he thought you were missing in action. He hasn't heard from you in a week.
He's a bully.
David, come on. Don't be bullying Jay.
Yeah, man. That dude, listen, I've never seen, let me see, 5, 6 dudes, however many, that bamboozled me into this fantasy football, run away from getting a free steak. Raph ran down to Alabama. Then everybody else's schedule was busy.
Or so they say.
Yeah. Pretty soon that's going to expire. You better get on it. You're going to be on some cube steaks.
If.
Now,
cube steaks from the Mercado are still good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you better tenderize your meat too.
When you tenderize your meat, do you marinate, or do you actually take like the metal tenderizer?
Depends on what I'm making. But Dave can cook though.
So I've been told.
He can he can cook for real. Yeah.
Does he season his meat? That's the question.
Yeah, he's soul brother number one. He they got that TikTok going around about redheads. He might be a redhead.
Dang. Ben on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line says Caleb Williams' second year in Chicago gonna look like Super Bowl champs. Now, that's maybe a bridge too far for me. But Jay, the fact that Caleb Williams completed 62% of his passes, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, watching film on his own.
Yeah.
Imagine what a guy like Ben Johnson, quarterback friendly coach, not Kevin O'Connell, but certainly working his way into that conversation as a QB guru, whisperer, offensive mind. They loved how he communicated in the interview and whatnot. There's a coach that seems like he will tailor things to Caleb Williams, that will be open for conversations, that wants to actually, help the young man succeed. And they went and bolstered the offensive line and those weapons around him.
Yeah.
If Chicago doesn't have a top 10 offense this next year, I'm honestly surprised.
Yeah, I think they're going to be good. Now, I don't know if Super Bowl champs is there. I think they're going to be, they have a chance to do a really quick turnaround. Obviously they finished 4th, but I'm telling you, Loveland is a huge pickup for him. I'm telling you right now, because that dude can separate like no other. They got the big offensive lineman from Boston College, and then they got a first-round player, Luther Burden, in the second round.
It traded for Tooney from the Chiefs.
Yeah,
sticking back at guard where he's probably more natural.
Right. So you got some. I like what they're doing. I think Ben Johnson, even though I wouldn't say soft-spoken, but very unassuming, he gets after it a little bit. You could just tell by the way that Detroit played physical, multiple. They try to beat you up, and they did it different ways. They come right at you, but then also they do, by schematics as well. And so I think that, right now what you have with, with Chicago is a good mix of, younger players, a little bit of ascending veterans. You got DJ Moore, and then you got DeAndre Swift. I like DeAndre Swift. And I also like Cole Kmet too. He's legit. So
they got Monungai.
Yep, and that's the dude right there. And when we went to Big Ten last year, I was arguing saying that I thought that he probably was the best running back in the Big Ten. And the reason why I said that is because he did more with less around him. So, and I think he's definitely better than a 7th-round draft choice. So, you're making money there, and I think they did pretty well as far as on the defensive side of doing well as, as far as drafting. So it's going to be a big part of the success is going to be on the relationship between Caleb Williams and Johnson. But also I think they've done a really good job, especially the GM, of being under some heat because of the Justin Fields. You couldn't even say it didn't work out. You didn't give him a chance.
Right. The fact that you didn't support him.
You didn't support
him. And you were
him.
trending that way with Caleb Williams for a year.
And then you finally decided or got to go ahead to support him. You still come under some intense pressure. I like their roster. I think it's up for grabs. I think Green Bay, even though they finally drafted a receiver this year, I still think it's a rookie receiver. I'm not totally sold on Green Bay, right? We'll see with the Vikings, right? Obviously, offensively, I think they'll be fine, but still, there's something missing there. They're not dominant on defense. They're just good enough.
Yeah.
They're not totally dominant on offense, which is understandable. And then Detroit, you lose 2 of your figureheads. We'll see. You still got Dan Campbell, but you're losing a lot of that fabric in there. So if I'm Chicago, and let's look real quick at their schedule, right? And then we got another 10 minutes here. You start out with Minnesota right off the get-go. You're going to get right after it. Then you go to Detroit. Welcome home, right? And then you got Dallas, right? No matter what Dallas does, I think that's a game that you think you're going to win. And then you go to Vegas. So you think by going into that first early bye week, you're 2-2. Then you come right out of the gates against Washington, a hard game. And then you think you can beat New Orleans. Baltimore is going to be tough. Cincinnati is going to be a score fest.
Yep.
Right? And we'll see if Joe Burrow and company can really put up those numbers this year with the whole offseason. And then that defense is significantly weaker without Hubbard and who knows what Hendrickson, right?
Yeah.
And they lost their D coordinator. Even though Al Golden's good, I think he's going to be a really good coordinator.
Still got to see it.
Yeah, still got to see it. But they just lost. And then you got New York Giants. Now, granted, they got talent. But what they're doing offensively on court, they don't know, right? So, okay, that's a win. Then you play Minnesota again. So you like to split those. Pittsburgh, I think is gettable. That
strength versus strength.
Strength versus strength. But as it sits today, I give Caleb Williams the nod, even if Aaron Rodgers is there, quarterback to quarterback.
Fair.
Talent to talent, skill position. I go Chicago. Offensive-minded coaches, I go Chicago. So it's a game, and you get them at home. Then you go to Philly, probably now. Okay, now you got to go up to Green Bay. Now we're starting to get busy. You like to split that. Cleveland, again, dumpster fire. And here's the game right here. Before you play Detroit at home, which is, a flex game, at San Francisco. I envision by this time San Francisco will already have pulled the plug. That's a winnable game. That's a must-have game. So Chicago, there is a way for Chicago to have a successful season, and they're set up for it.
But the schedule doesn't look like it will give them many chances to lose many games in a row. If they're a competent football team, there's not a long way for them to slide if they're just baseline competent.
Yeah, you got to get in, and that's what you want. You want to have it be able to, I guess, stub your toe, a get-right game, but you have to be mature enough to do it. And we talked about this last year. It was a big maturity year for Nebraska. It's a big maturity year for Caleb Williams and the rest of the team. And Ben Johnson hopefully is going to bring it for him, because if Caleb Williams can start to string some good seasons together and possibly make a deep playoff run eventually in the future, he's the first real franchise quarterback in Chicago. And as much as you know who this might end up like. I don't know if you watched the draft. Do you remember when Donovan McNabb got drafted by Philly and they booed him?
I do not.
Yeah, because everybody they booed him. Now he's revered, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up being the best quarterback. I mean, Jaws or whatever. And I know they obviously got Jalen Hurts now, but I'm just talking about.
You take McNabb over Hurts for now.
For now. But up until then, and before, Nick Foles came in there and did his thing, and Carson Wentz, it was Donovan McNabb grew on them, and he became the Phillies guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is Chicago the same way, is that now that was more player related versus like the city.
Right.
And I think the city of Chicago is welcoming anybody that can look like they can
you got a pulse? Come play quarterback.
Heartbeat and a pulse, and you look like it. So I think if he can really get going in Chicago, when you look at the landscape of the NFC Central, of the Vikings defense, and some of their players are aging.
Mhm.
We'll see what JJ McCarthy. So you give the advantage to Chicago.
Mhm.
Jared Goff is still rolling, but Ben Johnson's not there. So, and Love is there, but he doesn't really have the supporting cast.
Mhm.
This is right for the picking. It's not going to happen overnight, but I like it though. I like it for him.
What year was Donovan McNabb drafted? That's what I need to find. Drafted 99. So, yes, Eric, you are correct. I was actually in diapers when Donovan McNabb was drafted. So,
yeah.
There is that. Yeah, yes, Ben, Chicago did produce a Pope before a 4,000-yard quarterback. We mentioned that. 5381 has a question, Jay, that I know we addressed a little bit, but it's been a few weeks now since I think it's really come up. 5381 wants to know, why would you have taken Loveland before Warren, though?
Well, I think first of all, it's based on the style of offense that whoever's picking,
Mhm.
which in Chicago's case is Ben Johnson, right?
Mhm.
I think the difference between Warren and Loveland, and this is where you can kind of get drunk on the gimmick stuff, but I think Warren is going to surprise people in his ability to run routes. The thing that makes I'm going to go back. The thing that makes Brock Bowers is like essentially the next in line to be the best tight end
Mhm.
is this route running. What made Travis Kelce so good when he was at his prime is being able to get in and out of cuts. Remember when Cleveland had the Chiefs on the ropes in that playoff game? He was dicing up DBs on in and out routes, option routes.
Mhm.
That's what you get with Loveland as long as he's healthy. He's tough. Okay.
Mhm.
He's got a little bit of what to him, but when he gets open, he creates separation, I think, in my opinion, a little bit better than Warren.
Mhm.
Now, I think Warren is really good for Daniel Jones and Richardson.
Mhm.
Why? Is because he's a big target, can get, you can do the RPOs and you can get it to him. And then once he gets the ball, I think he's a better runner, like run after catch
Mhm.
than Loveland.
Mhm.
I think Loveland's significantly right now a better pass catcher. So when you look at the two offensive coordinators,
Similar blockers, different body types, so they
You're
do
right.
about the same job.
but Ben Johnson is
Mhm.
what he likes, right?
Mhm. Laporta.
Laporta, very consistent Big Ten
Mhm.
tight end, obviously Warren as well.
Mhm.
And Warren was more of a move guy.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one. If they flipped it, you could see it. But I
Mhm.
think for Caleb Williams, who likes when you're trying to get somebody to get the ball out of their hand on time, on target, rhythm, instead of holding it and getting hit, get you a tight end that can create some separation.
68 sacks for Caleb Williams
Right.
as a rookie, which is a
I've
lot.
seen that
But
before, too.
Loveland wins early. He can win quick
Right.
within those first couple steps.
Yeah, and he's big. He's like a little bit tall and lean, more
Mhm.
linear. You can't go wrong. And then,
But I
listen,
do think Warren's a better fit for Steichen in
Yeah.
how he wants to be used and what he's best at. Like here's
Right.
the thing: either coach could make either tight end work, but based on identity, I go back to the Debo Samuel tight ends comparison that I brought up. Right, you can use Tyler Warren in so many different ways,
Right.
but with how the Colts have used, Josh Downs, how they tried to use AD Mitchell, they're not just going to pigeonhole a guy and say this is your role, do this. Not that Loveland couldn't move around, but Warren does bring that flexibility that Shane Steichen really likes and really thrives with.
Well, you got to think, I mean, we'll see what he does, but you think about the tush push, right?
Right.
All right, we don't need Richardson to do it. Just put big man in there.
Right.
Right. He's a
Mhm.
former running back,
Mhm.
and he played basketball, so he knows he was actually an established basketball player. That's how he got to Penn State.
Yeah.
So he can get in and out of routes. Also, let's not forget short yardage, all that stuff, and he played a little bit of quarterback in college.
Mhm.
You're talking about doing all the things and then obviously not putting your quarterback in harm's way,
Risk. Yeah.
especially one that has recent injury issues in
Mm-hmm.
Richardson. So I think it's styles, but you couldn't go wrong with either.
Mhm.
And I'm sure both organizations or people that made the draft feel very comfortable with it. And I think it's actually for two teams that haven't really drafted as smart and used their components to their best ability, actually got 2 for 1. And here's what I mean for the Colts. Warren, like you said, allows them to use Downs and Mitchell to where they're actually more comfortable and more productive at.
Mhm. Create more mismatches.
Create mismatches.
Mhm.
Now you think you got Kmet and Loveland in Chicago. Now you allow Nduze and
Moore and
Burden to stay out there and get busy.
Mhm.
And Ben Johnson thinking about, it was zero backs, 2 tight ends, and them 3 receivers.
Woo!
Yeah, you're thinking like, okay, we get our quarterback hit, but you got 5 guys that can create separation and get open.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're not
And
going to
do something with it once they catch it.
Right, and that's the problem. And I always say, how do you become more explosive? Kill us linebackers that aren't either not as tall or big as tight ends or not.
Or maybe
as
they're
quick.
on their 3rd ankle.
Yeah.
First, you didn't work so well.
I need to get trust me, I'm going in there and get one fixed ASAP. And then you create mismatches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to put stress on a linebacker, don't have a running back in there, and then you got Loveland, Komet, and then you got Luther Burden and everybody else, and think that if you want to see me pucker it up real tight, because now you're playing defense the whole time. You're really passive because all I want to do is get to the next down.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens.
Okay, no context, no explanation. I just need a team name before we go to break. Thomas and Lincoln wants to know, who is your early surprise pick for the NFL playoffs?
Man, it's hard because I think it's going to be rinse and repeat. I'm going to tell you who's going to push.
Okay.
I think I got 2 teams, and they're in this same. I think Seattle is going to push.
Okay.
Like legitimately push this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Pocket Hercules. There's something about the way that they played last year that was appealing. I think they got I think they got a lot of talent down there. I think they got over that kind of 1 year, 2 year with the new coach, because he came in there, didn't know anybody's name and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you had JJ Watt and all that. But I think the way that they played down the stretch, I think it's one of those 2.
I was going to go with Arizona, but I'm not sold on Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, he's in Washington.
He's in Washington.
Never mind.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about Washington. So I will go with Arizona.
Still
my thought.
But I like.
I don't know why I thought he was still in
But
Arizona.
I'll stay with Seattle, because I think Seattle, the way they start, I think Seattle's got a lot of young talent on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You got a defensive-minded head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got now. You got Sam Darnold, but you got Smith and Jigba,
mm-hmm.
right? I like it. They can beat you up front. They've shown the ability to pound the rock at you. I think
Mm-hmm.
the way that Seattle is like fixated up there, it's a hard place to play. They have an advantage up there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're better equipped to travel longer distances. I think they just have gotten it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think San Francisco is on the downside, which is hard to say because they've been so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Rams. are if I had to bet, I would pick them to be the favorite, but I'm not sold on them. You get what I'm
Fair.
saying?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you say, okay, well, I would say Seattle's a little bit farther along, barely, than Arizona. So if Seattle could get going
Mm-hmm.
and that defense starts to mature,
Mm-hmm.
then you got some problems.
In the AFC, for me, I think Cincinnati passes Pittsburgh up. I think Zach Taylor with his back against the wall.
Yeah.
I think new defensive coordinator. Not going to be pretty. I think it's going to be a lot of drama, but I think Cincinnati can sneak in as a wild card.
As a number 2. Yeah, I do too. I think Cleveland is that's homecoming, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland's a homecoming game. And I think, and we have our thing where you got the 76ers. I was going to do Pittsburgh. I just think you did all this stuff in the offseason and you forgot to do the most important thing. You know what it is? It's like going, they got the PGA Championship right now, right? And you just got, you're like a caddy and you got on Scotty Scheffler's bag and you left this driver at the driving range and you're on hole number 1.
My bad, Scotty.
Yeah. It's a good way to get fired.
I'll wear that one.
Yeah. I get
That's
fired.
on me.
Yeah. But that's what you even the schedules came out now.
Mm-hmm.
Excitement is in the air.
Mm-hmm.
No quarterback. So if I'm a veteran working out, unless they know something, which I'm assuming and hoping they do,
Mm-hmm.
that nobody else knows that Aaron is coming, that's fine. But this isn't the Aaron from 10 years ago.
That you're thinking of, not the same guy.
And Mike Thomas, my life depends on this.
Yeah.
Cam Hayward is year to year, day to day, week to week.
Mm-hmm. Thomas and Lincoln, our resident Panthers fan, says he thinks Carolina's going 12-5. So, Thomas,
I can see that.
Good luck with that. We'll see.
You ain't got no receivers, though.
They drafted one number 8.
Yeah, I think he's going to be good.
Maybe not year 1, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you still got Adam Thielen, who can't beat me with 2 bad ankles. I like Adam Thielen. I got to take that back.
The real question is, with 2 bad ankles, can you beat Jay Foreman in the Fireway against Foreman? The shootout with
Come on.
402-464-5685. Need a contestant, $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings, and a signed copy of Tom Osborne's book up for you to win. We'll play the game show to round out hour 1.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Jumpstart your summer to the max. Walk into any Max Tan in Lincoln and get a $5 standing tan session or a $5 red light wellness booth session. Your summer tan starts today with $5 sessions at Max Tan with 3 Lincoln locations.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a 4-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats like Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Call or text us at 402-464-5685 with questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Registration goes through May 30th.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Upgrade your fleet with a pre-owned 8R tractor from Landmark Implement. We offer a wide selection of used John Deere 8Rs, ready to bring power and precision to your operation. For a limited time, take advantage of 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2% for 24 months. We'll help you find the right fit for all your acres, all backed by Landmark's trusted parts and service department. Visit landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
In dealing with the high interest rates, it's very important that you get as much bang for the buck. And that's what our Remington Homes is all about.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, whether you want painted trim or other upgrades. Those are all options with our Remington Homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game.
All right, 402-464-5685. Come on, we need a contestant. Take on Jay in trivia. $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings and a bonus prize, signed copy of Tom Osborne's book, The Legacy of Leadership. While we wait to get a contestant, let's hit our Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line. Got a couple more picks here. Virginia Pirate says, I think Seattle might be my pick to win that division. What they're building looks really good to me. A lot of upside. Thought they killed the draft. Milroe, to me, that's a great fit. McDonald was around Lamar Jackson. Their offensive coordinator always has had a good run game. Just a real interesting team. We didn't talk a lot about Jalen Milroe. Do you like him with McDonald and crew up there in Seattle?
I do. I think, well, number one, I think if you study him, he throws a really good deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
But being 220 pounds, 4'3", 40, he'll be a problem. It's somebody that's going to be on the scouting report, and they'll use him in different ways. And I think he's more than a capable passer. I think they just got to get him with, fundamentally sound. So I like him up there. I like it that it's off the beaten path as well. Not a lot of pressure to come in and start.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes those are the best situations for players like that.
Let's go to our Honda of Lincoln hotline. Let's welcome in Quentin. Quentin, what's going on?
Oh, not much.
Thanks for calling in. Hold on the line. We will get Jay his 4 questions first, then we'll get to you. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, we are on the topic of Chicago. These questions were drafted when the Pope was named, but we're talking about Caleb Williams today. We did not use them, and they still apply. So, how well do you know Chicago? We will find out here in 3, 2, and 1. Jay, he hit the most career home runs with the Chicago Cubs. Ernie Banks or Sammy Sosa?
Sammy Sosa.
It was Sammy. He had more career at-bats with the Chicago White Sox. Harold Baines or Ozzie Guillen?
I'm going to go Ozzie Guillen.
It was Harold Baines.
I don't care. I'll take that loss.
He rushed for the most career yards with the Chicago Bears. Gale Sayers or Walter Payton?
Walter.
It was Walter, and he committed the most career personal fouls as a member of the Chicago Bulls.
The personal fouls?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Charles Oakley.
Scottie
Pippen?
Pippen, the most career personal fouls as a member of the Chicago Bulls.
He never crossed. I was gonna say Rodman.
Played a lot of minutes. Played there a long time.
Yeah, and he was in your face defense.
He was.
Too.
So that is a 2-point round for Jay. Quentin, you need 2 to tie. You need 3 or more to win. Are you ready for your round of Chicago trivia? Quentin
Nelson.
Quentin, you with us?
Oh, yeah, I am. Sorry, I lost you a little bit there.
You're good. All right. You ready for your round?
I am.
Okay, your round starts here in 3, 2, and 1. He recorded the most career strikeouts of any pitcher in Chicago Cubs history. Fergie Jenkins or Kerry Wood?
Wood.
It was Jenkins. He hit the most career home runs with the Chicago White Sox. Paul Konerko or Frank Thomas?
Thomas.
It was Thomas. He had the most career passing yards of any Chicago Bears quarterback. Jay Cutler or Sid Luckman?
Cutler.
It was Cutler, and he scored the most career goals of any player in Chicago Blackhawks history.
Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane is the guess. A good one, but ultimately incorrect. It was Bobby Hull. Bobby Hull, the most career goals. So, Quentin, that's all right. We're going to the tiebreaker. We're headed to OT. Here's what's going to happen. I will ask Jay a question. He will give me a number. Quentin, you will go over, under, or push his answer for the win. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, Jay, In just his 5th career start, former Cubs pitcher Kerry Wood tied the Major League Baseball record for most strikeouts by a single pitcher in a 9-inning game. How many batters did Kerry Wood strike out in that one game?
18.
Jay says 18. Quentin, do you go over? Do you go under? Or do you push 18 for the win?
Oh, that's a great guess. I'm going to go over.
Boom shakalaka! Finish him. Give me a hell
It was over?
It was over. It was over. It's over. Quentin wins.
How many did he do?
20
I knew it was a lot.
strikeouts in a 9-inning complete game. Quentin, thank you for calling. Congratulations on the win. We'll put your name on $30 to Buffalo Wings and Rings and a signed copy of Tom Osborne's book, The Legacy of Leadership.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay on the line. We'll get your information there, Quentin. Good guess, Jay. You were right there. You're right there.
Yeah, Kerry Wood can.
Cold.
Yeah, he could throw some heat.
Blooded for a while.
Yeah.
Then injuries got him. So, you know what else is cold? Steph Uncle Kev's got in that box out there. It's time for libations. Thirsty Thursday to start hour 1 or hour 2 of On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
The end of the school year is drawing near, which means graduation parties are coming soon. Are you prepared for hosting? Führer's Cheese Spread is the dip that brings everyone together to celebrate graduations and the close to a great school year. And it goes well with crackers, meats, soups, and more. How could you consider throwing a party without it? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's Cheese Spread. No graduation party is complete without it.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett. Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Garage doors can break down or quit working at the worst times. At Doors Plus, they understand that a broken garage door sometimes means repair and not replace. Sometimes, all you need to make your door like new again is a few bolts, a realignment, or even a new balance. Trust the pros at Doors Plus to handle your garage door repair the right way so you can get on with your busy schedule. Visit them online at DoorsPlusLLC.com or give them a call today at 402-590-5800. Doors Plus. Garage doors and more.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Why wait until Friday to start your weekend?
Go ahead, start right now.
You're thirsty now, and 93.7 The Ticket is here to help you stock up.
Just in time for the weekend when I like to hit the clubs.
Time to broaden your horizons and try some new wine and beer. It's Thirsty Thursday with Kevin Meyer from Meyer's Cork and Bottle.
That was lame.
It
was a
well,
clicky
you actually
for
did
Stricky.
open it.
Yeah. It was a clicky for Stricky. I thought Strick was going to be here, but he's not.
Yeah.
I did.
That's better. That's better.
The wine was for him, actually, but that's all right.
Well, he will whine since he's not here. We will whine without him or something like that. Kevin Meyer is the voice you hear right now. Uncle Kev, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing solid, fellas. How are you? We got Harrison.
I was
going to
say,
I'm excited about this.
Harrison, of anyone at the station that deserves a drink. Harrison, thank you for partaking with us. We are glad that you were able to take part in one of our favorite things on Thursdays. You are always more than welcome to join, my friend.
Yeah, usually there's a line to join in on this thing, but today there's an opening, so I'm more than happy to go ahead and step in here and fill in.
Have you been on Thirsty Thursday before?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've hosted it a few times and I've had a hell of a time finding the music. I think you've gotten some of those frantic texts before, but
I do remember that, but that's all right.
We are good now. We are going to be off and rolling. Uncle Kev, you said you got out and golf this week.
I did. Well, I had golf the ticket league on Monday, which I'm partaking in.
Very
and
nice.
then I took the day off yesterday.
How's your team?
We're pretty salty. I think we're in second place in our division right now, but they haven't posted last week's scores yet. So we're 1 point off the lead. So I think we're doing all right.
Very nice. Very nice. How did you feel about your performance, your personal performance week one?
Last week was actually week three. Week one, I played pretty well. I shot 40 and I think I tied for sixth. And then week two, I don't remember what I shot. Last week I shot 43, kind of lost it on a couple of holes, but for the most part, played pretty well.
Nice. Proud of you.
Well, thanks.
Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Well, it's such a fickle game. It just, it ebbs and flows. And every time you think you got your swing figured out, the golf gods go, nope, no, you don't. And so, and then you're about ready to quit sometimes. And then all of a sudden you drop a 40-foot bomb and go, hey, yeah, I can play this game. So
Tiger has his Sunday Reds. Scotty has his burnt orange, which may or may not be the new look from the PGA. Does Uncle Kev have a go-to golf polo?
Not really. I wear a lot of blue though. I
Okay.
got a lot of blue golf polos, and my wife, every time I get a different one, she goes, "You have 4 or 5 blue golf polos." And in fact, I'm wearing one right now. But I don't know. For some reason, I just gravitate toward the color blue. I have no idea why.
I love and respect that about you. Harrison, you strike me as a golfer. Are you?
No, surprisingly not.
Really?
I've golfed before, but no, I wouldn't go out there and call myself a big time golfer.
How has it gone for you when you've golfed?
When I hit it straight, that's a win. I'm definitely not a big time golfer. When I usually go out there, like Top Golf, if the money's right that week. But no, I've been out there. We had a really good golf team at Cedar Catholic when I was growing up. So even if I was competitive, I don't know if I'd make the cut for the starters. Like they were solid out there. So no, not a big time golfer, but I do enjoy it.
I know Kevin has heard the story. Have you heard my Top Golf experience story?
No, I'm sure it's a great one. I want to hear it though.
So we went there for my bachelor party. It was a mess. I was so bad. I can't lift it. I just have no swing mechanics. I don't know how long afterwards this was, but I've been back a couple times since then. But the most recent time I went to Top Golf, I overswung a little bit. Hands were a little sweaty, knees weak, arms were heavy, sort of thing. Let go of the club. Guess which direction the club went.
Oh, but you didn't throw it backwards, did you?
I did not throw it backwards. I did not throw it forwards. I threw it to my right. I hooked it so far out of my hands.
Oh, that's right. You're a lefty, so you follow through. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me so far right. I broke a light in the bay next to us.
Oh, that bills are already expensive. I would like to know what it was on the way. I won't ask you on air, but
I never got one.
That surprised me. You take me as like the ultimate golf guy, walking in here with the Duke hat and the Duke prep gear.
I may appear preppy, but I do not have the golf game. And
more of a lacrosse sort of look.
Yeah, there you go.
Lacrosse does seem fun.
It does seem
but
fun.
Watch out, Top Golf. Got another bachelor party there this weekend. So
all right.
Got a chance to redeem myself.
Solid.
I guess. Last thing before we get to the actual libations here. Mississippi Mud Dog Harrison is our resident Packers fan. He says, "Hey Harrison, the Bears still suck. Better have a drink."
That's the only time I ever hear from Mississippi Mud Dog. It's just to say something about the Bears. We'll see. It sucks because I don't have a lot of ammunition for Mississippi Mud Dog or any Green Bay Packers fan
right now.
I've been saying that for years.
So I always, prior to being an adult, I would just always root for the team that was the closest proximity to Nebraska. So if Chicago was playing, I'd root for them. If Green Bay was playing, I'd root for them. Kansas City, Denver, et cetera, et cetera. Well, back then they were all in the same division. So then I had to figure out who's my team going to be. And Green Bay had just traded for Amon Green from Seattle.
Yep.
And Brett Favre was the starting quarterback, and who didn't love watching Brett Favre play? So I decided right then and there that because of those two reasons, then Green Bay was going to be my team. And so thick or thin, I'm not hardcore, but that's kind of my go-to pro team.
Nice. Did not know that. Old Dad 34 wants to know, Harrison, when did you graduate from Cedar Catholic?
2018.
2018.
Mhm.
Okay, there you go, OldAd 34. Let's graduate this conversation up to the purpose of the conversation. A little alcohol.
Indeed.
What we got here, Kevin?
So we have Three Floyds, which is a kind of a cult brewery. Never been available in Nebraska before. They're doing one-time drop. This is their American wheat pale ale, what they call Gumball Head. And so it's basically a combination of a pale ale and a wheat beer. So it's basically a dry hopped wheat. And at one time, Three Floyds, they're out of Indiana, by the way, was recognized as the nation's best brewery, highest rated brewery.
Dang.
And so their beers, especially when the craft beer thing was really blowing up, if you had a Three Floyds beer, that was like having a winning lottery ticket. It was that highly sought after. So we were able to get some in. They're also most famous for a beer called Zombie Dust, which is their IPA. And then they also do this crazy thing. It's called Dark Lord Days. And it's a 1 year or once per year release of their high ABV, like 12, 13% Imperial Stout. And they do this massive concert. 10,000 people go to be able to try the beer and then go to this concert. And I guess it's pretty crazy. So it's kind of fun that we're drinking some Three Floyds. If you're a beer nerd out there, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I am not a beer nerd, but I do know this is some darn good stuff.
It's really good. Very smooth. I'm not a big mixed beer guy, IPA guy. Usually just much for the light beers, but no, that's solid.
You can taste the dry hop on the finish, that little bit of bitterness, but it's not overwhelming. The wheat beer adds a little bit of almost kind of a cereal type of a thing, especially like when I try a German wheat beer, like what they call a Hefeweizen. They will have a little bit of like almost like a fruity pebbles, sort of a sort of weird cereal-y sweetness.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
it's odd, and I think that's why they call this Gumball Head, is because it is a wheat beer, but then they dry hop it, which kind of masks that fruity component.
Yeah, I'm not getting any of the fruit. Maybe you are with your sophisticated, developed palate.
Well, I mean, I talk a big game. If I really, it's more of verbalizing what it is that you're tasting is kind of the hard part. So if you do it enough, eventually you just convince yourself. So that's just how I roll.
The power of suggestion. I love it. Jeremy in Lincoln says, just pick some of this Gumball Head up today from your store.
Excellent, Jeremy. 5 stars to you, good sir. I would say a customer of the day award.
I do have to ask, if this was a once, high rated #1 brewery in America, we need the personal Kevin Meyer top 3 breweries you've been to.
Wow. So back when I was first engaged, my wife and I tried to move to Fort Collins, and we weren't even married yet. And I applied at New Belgium Brewing when they were still on North College Boulevard in an old grain elevator.
Okay.
For a job, and then we ultimately didn't end up moving because we found out we were going to be mom and dad. So my bouncing baby girl is now 29 years old. So that I would have to put up there. Surprisingly, I haven't been to a ton of breweries simply for the fact that when I do get a
They
chance
bring
to
it to
travel,
you. You don't go to them.
Well, and when I get a chance to travel, I don't necessarily want to talk shop. I just want to. And so, if I have to talk about what I do and who I am and all that kind of stuff, it's just,
you can't just go for fun and that doesn't come up.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things that I haven't been to a ton, but I will say that my good buddy Colby Wood there at White Elm local, so it would have to be a local one. I really, really like his beers, and I think he's a fantastic human being. And then probably my third would be, I just have to go with Boulevard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Close
Classic.
enough. Right.
What's your go-to Boulevard?
It's been a while since I've had one. I think.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot so much.
Well, back when I was kind of learning the craft beer way, I drank a lot of Boulevard Wheat, which was kind of a good gateway beer. So, but the beer that kind of opened my eyes to the IPA world was one that they made. It was what they call their Smokestack series, and they made an IPA, and it was called the Calling, and that's the beer that sort of opened my eyes to that world. Now my tastes have come full circle. Now I'm mostly just drinking lagers, light beers, just simply for the fact that all I drank were hoppy beers for a long time. I think I just kind of burn out on them. So anyway, it's just the evolution of things.
Indeed. I've heard a lot of good things about a Tank 7. I've never actually had one myself.
Yeah, that Tank 7 is it's a Belgian style saison, which basically means season. And the history behind it was the farmers in Belgium would have to hire seasonal help. And there was, always that sort of gap between winter and spring to where you couldn't plant yet, but there wasn't really much else to do. And so they would brew beer, and they would essentially use it as currency. And they figured out that, it was to kind of get the help on board for the season. But they figured out that if they made it too high ABV, it tended to squash their motivation. And so they came in at a light, like 2.8, 3% beers. And literally the term saison means season. So that sort of marched through April, void in agriculture became their brewing season.
One more thing on the beer before we move on to the wine. Jeremy in Lincoln wants to clarify, is this a one-time drop of the Gumball Head, and is it not coming back?
That is correct. That's what they're saying. It's a one-time drop, not coming back. So if you're curious at all, get on down to the shop and grab some.
Which is located where?
On the corner of 13th and South Streets. Look for the neon.
There you go. Kevin Meyer, Mars Cork and Bottle with us. We just got done talking about some Gumball Head beer. Harrison, are you a wine guy?
No, I couldn't say that I'm a wine guy. I don't mind it though. Every family holiday, we'll have a glass of wine.
You're not going to give us the Ellie face?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll
Okay,
drink
good.
wine. I'm an adult for the most part.
Excellent. We appreciate that. What are we drinking today, Kev?
This is called Sea Sun Pinot Noir, and it's one of the newer Pinots to the shop, and it also, I think, is one of the better values. And it's a different style of Pinot Noir. It's pretty fruity. It is a collection of Pinot from San Benito County, which you don't see very often, Monterey County, and then there's literally a place called Sea Sun, except it's spelled S-U-I. That this is kind of takes its name from. The winery itself is in Monterey, but we're kind of using this as sort of our quote unquote house Pinot Noir these days, and just because it is fruity, it's approachable to a wide array of palates. It's not expensive, and so we can use it for a lot of our events that we do the catering for. We do beverage service for everything from fundraisers to wedding receptions to tailgates. So this is kind of our new unofficial house Pinot.
Easy to drink. I'll say that much.
Yeah,
It's
smooth,
not,
fruity.
mhm.
Pinots can kind of be all over the place. It's an interesting grape because it has a very thin, delicate skin. So you can't just plant it wherever you want to. It has to be a very controlled, cool, dry, consistent climate. And
Like San Benito, apparently.
Apparently like San Benito. I knew that about Monterey, but not so much San Benito. But when it's done right, it actually possesses the greatest number of phenols or chemical compounds, creating a wine that's more sophisticated and complex. But because it is a thin-skinned grape, the wines are more delicate. And so, they can really sort of take on the characteristics of every area where they are. So if you have more loamy soils, it's going to take on more of that earthy component. If they're more gravelly, it's going to be more minerally. If it's warmer, it's going to be more ripe. And this one definitely tastes more on the ripe end for me.
I don't know how to describe ripe versus unripe with a palate, but I will tell you it's a really nice mix of, you get like the dryness you expect from a red, and it's not canceled out by the fruit, but you get the best of both worlds. Where, yeah, I'm sipping a classy red. I know what I'm about. I have a good palate. But then you get the fruitiness, and I think approachable is the exact right word for it, where it is fruit forward, but you can convince yourself, like, this is like a super classy red wine that I'm drinking.
That I'm not drinking Kool-Aid.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not sangria.
Right. No, I agree with that sentiment exactly. I'm just super proud right now of you, Austin. You're just you're becoming a sommelier.
I'm getting there. I am. Eric is saying there are babies in the studio. You two are barely adults. You'll have to clarify which two you're talking about, depending on the conversation, Eric. But Kevin, when you have a wine that is this fruit forward, here comes the classic question. What do you pair it with?
I would like it with something with a little bit of spice. So you sort of have that yin and yang approach, something kind of that maybe has some heat to it. That fruitiness is going to balance that out. So I would say a wine like this with like Indian food, like heavy curry, or like Thai food, I think would be awfully good. Or even like, spicy barbecue, something with a little bit of heat on the dry rub, something like that, I think would go really, really nice.
I did ask Jay this question. I would love to know your opinion. When you tenderize your meat, are you doing it with a marinade, or are you doing it with the actual like meat hammer?
Well, so steaks, I don't do anything with. I mean, I'll put like a seasoning on there, like either a steak rub, or just do your classic cracked pepper, maybe some garlic salt, or just a little bit of salt. And then, but I think if you pound the heck out of it, you're ruining, a good cut doesn't need that, right? Sure. Now with chicken, I'll do a marinade. It's basically almost like a classic Italian dressing recipe. So I would take Italian seasoning, olive oil, some apple cider vinegar, and some salt, and just let it sit in that. Doesn't have to be overnight, maybe a couple hours. And then that just seems to be enough so that everything comes out nice and moist. Sorry, I was trying to use another word, but you still get the crispy skin. I don't like having chicken with rubbery skin.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do chicken breast as well. So we'll just grill some chicken breast, and we'll do everything from turn it into Mexican or turn it into like a lavash.
Nice.
You know, that cracker bread, make a little, almost like kind of a pizza with that. And you can do that with a barbecue sauce as your sauce and do some red onion, maybe some jalapeno, do it that way. Or you can do it a little more classic with some veggies, some tomatoes, green pepper, mushroom, that sort of thing. So that's kind of a quick and easy go-to meal. And, you know, Uncle Ben's is kind of an underrated compliment to the Meyer household. Like when, you know, you get home from work a little bit late, you don't want to spend a ton of time cooking something.
What, are you busy, Kevin? You have stuff going on?
Not really, you know, sometimes, but you know, it's kind of like you can throw the Uncle Ben's in first and then, you know, get your chicken grilled. And by the time that's all done, the Uncle Ben's is done. And you know, I like rice and wild rice and, you know, that sort of thing. So it's just quick and easy.
One question from Eric, whiskey marinades. Where do you stand on whiskey marinades?
I'm cool with it. I don't do it a lot, but I know a lot of people do. A lot of times when I am doing like grilled chicken fajitas, you know, over straight fire, when I get toward the end, I'll put either some whiskey or some rum on there and flame it.
Yeah.
And that
use
really
the good stuff or the cheaper stuff?
Oh, you know, just whatever we've got on hand. You know, it's like you don't want to make mimosas with your Dom Perignon. So, you know, if you're just using it to flame the dish, then I'd say just go with something a little more basic. But Julia Child always said never cook with anything that you wouldn't also drink. So if you're going to use, you know, crummy stuff, you're just putting crummy ingredients into your food and you don't want to do that. So, but just that flaming kind of caramelizes the sugars in like the peppers and the onions and whatnot, and just kind of brings everything together and adds a little bit of sweetness too.
You come to Thirsty Thursday for advice on what to drink. You get unsolicited advice on what to eat, because we got one of the best, Kevin Meyer, with us. Kevin, remind people where the store is, what's going on at the store, and all that sort of good stuff.
So just arrived 3 Floyds Brewing out of Indiana. At one time voted the best brewery in America. Just a one quick drop of some zombie dust and some of this gumball head. And then I think that's really about it. But it's never the same store twice. So we're always getting in new whiskeys. We're always getting in new beers. We're always getting in new wines. And we're always running different features. And so we're right on the corner of 13th and South Street. We're Lincoln's oldest bottle shop. We've been on that corner since 1965. It's been in my family since 1978, and been my full-time career for almost 25 years now.
There you go. Check it out. Corner 13th and South, like he said. He's Kevin. Harrison's on the end. I'm Austin. We'll be right back with more on the block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this spring at The Mercado by Certified Piedmontese, with great selections of T-bones, tomahawks, ribeyes, filet mignon, brisket, sirloin, and so much more. The Mercado has locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, where you can have $2 draft beer every Thursday night from 4 to 8 p.m. and half-price espresso drinks on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. Get ready for the largest dirt late model event in Nebraska, race fans. The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is heading to Eagle Raceway's High Bank Heist on Thursday, May 15th through Saturday, May 17th. See the greatest dirt late model stars in the country compete for $10,000 to win on both Thursday and Friday, and an enormous $50,000 to win 75-lap main event on Saturday. The High Bank Heist, May 15th through May 17th at Eagle Raceway. For more info, visit eagleraceway.com. Let's go Lucas Oil Late Model Racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
In dealing with the high interest rates, it's very important that you get as much bang for the buck. And that's what our Remington Homes is all about.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
People really enjoy being able to go to our website, which is remingtonlincoln.com, pick a plan, pick a price point, go through and build it yourself. You have a lot of options, whether you want granite, whether you want painted trim or other upgrades. Those are all options with our Remington Homes. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a 4-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats like Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Call or text us at 402-464-5685 with questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Registration goes through May 30th.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Support Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach on Give to Lincoln Day. Your gift will be received by a portion of Lincoln Community Foundation's matching fund. Homelessness is a complex problem facing our community. By working together, we can find solutions. Your donation for Give to Lincoln Day moves us closer to ensuring that everyone in Lincoln has a safe place to sleep at night. Because of your generosity, hope lives here. Give anytime through May 29th at givetolincoln.com.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome back into On the Block. Austin Norman, Jay Foreman with you here. Big thanks to Kevin Meyer for stopping by for Thursday. Big thanks to Heartland of Nebraska Windows for their sponsorship of this segment. They offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today for more info at 402-430-3852. Or you can check them out online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. We're going to launch something a little bit new here during On the Block. Hope this picks up some steam, and I'm sure we will take listener input and feedback moving forward. But Team of the Week is something I want to start doing on Thursdays. Hopefully we can keep this going for a while, because there are a lot of interesting teams out there in pro sports, college sports, even high school sports, potentially, if the situation calls for it. Probably sticking primarily baseball, football, and basketball, but there's a lot going on in sports, and I think sometimes it's good just to expand our horizons, take a look at one specific team, see what they're going through, whether it's good, it's bad, it's cool, it's quirky, whatever it is. And Jay, a team that's really come to mind for me is the Philadelphia 76ers. missing the playoffs in the NBA this last year, despite some really high expectations given the roster, right? Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, obviously the three highest paid guys. Jared McCain was a guy I was watching from Duke who started out the year hot before a knee injury. Some interesting depth pieces up and down the roster. But Philly picking at number 3. They jump way up in the lottery into the top 4 ahead of Charlotte, who's had no NBA prospects in the playoffs for far too long. It's about time for Charlotte to get it on and cracking. But Philadelphia is in such an interesting position. They've clearly been passed by the Celtics and by the Knicks. I think they're still pretty clearly ahead of Toronto and in Brooklyn, but maybe not for long. Toronto just has a weird kind of team construction. Brooklyn, who knows what they're doing. But Philly seems like they've gone all in year after year after year around Joel Embiid, only to never make the conference finals, let alone the actual finals. This is a really big offseason for Philly, with Joel Embiid making $55 million, Paul George making just shy of 52, and Tyrese Maxey got, yes, the max at $38 million. I generally like that core. Maxey's fun. When Paul George plays, he's still good. Embiid puts up numbers. I don't know how much he impacts winning, but Philly getting the number 3 pick really, really intrigues me.
Yeah, well, they're in a little bit of an issue, a little bit of a problem, because obviously after Cooper Flag, then it's like, do they find a way to maybe finagle their way up to number 2 and get Dylan Harper, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then Maxey can maybe play off him, but Maxey can kind of do what Harper does, or the skill set, right? Then there's a projection that they're going to get Ace Bailey. Well, is he a younger version of Paul George? You know, I mean, he's a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the shooting guard from Baylor really fits their script, because you got McCain, right?
Mhm.
And he's a really good on defense.
Quentin Grimes, Maxey can slide
right,
to the 2.
Right. And
Mhm.
so then you're like, okay, well, then do they trade down and get like the point guard from Oklahoma, Fierce, like a true point guard? That's not sexy enough for Philly, right? So
And
they're
he's small. I'm not.
right.
I'm not sold on the consistency yet.
Right. And then there's Trey Johnson. I mean, so right after that, what do? The one guy that they could possibly get, who I like, is Mulak from Duke. Not at number 3.
Right.
Now, maybe trade back or whatever, find a way to do that. I like him because of his defensive prowess, and he can do things what Joel Embiid can do, but he'll do things that Joel Embiid doesn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Rim runner, right?
Mhm.
Block shot. He can just get off the bus, and he's going to affect in the paint.
Mhm.
I think he's pretty decent, or would be pretty decent in the pick and roll. And he's a little bit younger, but they're in a hard spot, because starting core wise, they probably like what they got.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little bit roster wise, but there's something missing. And I think there's something missing is Joel Embiid is not who you thought he was.
Right.
And maybe he might not never be what you thought he was. And then either you become okay with it and like build around it, and maybe, maybe lean on Maxey. Maybe you see if Maxey can maybe not take the same step as Shea Alexander, but maybe a step a little bit below that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe it's his opportunity to step up. I think the big like piece, and I don't know if they can move him or not, is Paul George.
Right.
That's where you really ran into trouble,
Mhm.
because if you somehow can find a 8-team trade, I'm over exaggerating now, like a 4-team trade where you can get Paul George moving, and obviously if he wants to, and then he opens up the lane to get an Ace Bailey or somebody like that who kind of can fit, that bigger wing, can shoot decently enough. But I think what he would fit in and do, I think he fits a little bit better with a healthy Embiid. Now, the problem is Embiid could be healthy. Is he in shape? I think he's
engaged?
He's on Benoit Benjamin watch.
Ooh, I see where it's coming from.
Ends up
You
always,
said it, but
always immensely talented.
Mm-hmm.
Is he engaged? Got paid. Literally got, I guess, fat and happy and lazy.
Did get that MVP,
right.
But there's gonna come with some questions.
Right, and then is he always going to be a guy that's 5 to 8 pounds overweight?
Right,
and that's just him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to try to change his game, and then the NBA is going to change, and then he's going to. Now, granted, he's still a really good player, and he's a matchup problem. And when focused and motivated, he gives everybody in the league problems. And but I think what they need to do is they need to really look at it. What can you do with Paul George right now? And if not, you want to, it's either try to find a way to move on from him or acquire or around him, assuming that he's going to get hurt again, and then have a 2 to 3 year max plan with Embiid.
Yeah.
And it also involves this draft. So they're in a hard, the funny thing about it, the team I was going to say, like, NBA wise, and this same thing is, I was going to say Portland, because I think you got a really good coach. You got some crappy players, and you got crappy locker room guys. But I think they're in a hard. I think they are in. I mean, Philly is in a harder situation than majority of the teams in the NBA.
Well, and there's so many expectations in Philly.
Yeah.
The East, right? We talked about a lot of the top teams. I mean, you look at Boston, you look at New York, Cleveland might have staying power, might not. Indiana keeps being okay in the regular season, then turning it on late. There's no one out East, Jay, that really scares you. I mean, depending on what Boston looks like post Tatum injury.
Yeah,
The East is there for the taking.
and letting some guys go.
Having to.
So you run it back. Everybody got paid. What does the team look like next year? I think you get a little bit weaker.
Which is where, so Brad on the text line, no, Dallas is not taking Ace Bailey. If they do that, San Antonio will have that Cooper Flag pick up to the podium before anyone can blink.
Yeah.
So no, they're not going to do that. But when you think about Philly at number 3, Jay, if I asked you to guess who the most recent number 3 picks Philly has had were, I would tell you Evan Turner went number 2 in 2010. They took Markelle Fultz 1-1. But the last time Phillies had the number 3 pick, it happened back-to-back years, 2014 and 2015. They took Embiid and Okafor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okafor, I was thinking Embiid. I thought he was number 1, but
Embiid was not 1-1.
Well, that's good. I thought Okafor was pretty good in Philly.
Wrong era.
Yeah.
Is the problem. He got played out of the league by pace and space.
Yeah.
So Philly has a bit of a checkered history there at number 3. So they go in 2014, take Embiid, 2015, take Okafor, 2016, Ben Simmons 1-1, 2017, Markelle Fultz 1-1. Then here's the one, Jay. 2018, they drafted Mikal Bridges, who traded him to Phoenix.
Yeah, I remember
on draft night. And then it's been a little bit of a checkered draft history from there. But as you look at what Philly might want to do, clearly Philly's not in tank, hashtag trust the process mode like they were back in the mid 2010s with Embiid and Simmons and whatnot.
Yeah.
Ace Bailey, I don't think is a ready-made NBA guy. For the role that he's going to be asked to play, I don't think he's on Philly's timeline, which is where I think a sneaky candidate for Philly to trade back with is Utah. Looking for that centerpiece. If Utah wants to take that upside swing on Ace Bailey, you can get number 5 where you're maybe in the range for still a Trey Johnson, maybe a support piece in like a Con Knipple, might be a little too high for Maluwatch potentially.
He'd be great up there with
right.
Filipowski.
Do you go get Derek Queen maybe? Did you take him a little early as the potential Embiid replacement? Jack Ashonis maybe? Those are all guys that are in play probably starting at number 5 where it wouldn't be a reach at number 3. But if you can take some of Utah's assets off of Danny Ainge's hands, get a better value. Utah gets what they want, an upside swing. You get a more ready-made, know his role type of player.
Yeah.
I think that would work out really well for them.
That would actually be the best decision they've made in quite some time. But are they willing to make it? Because I think they'll get up there and try to talk themselves into Ace Bailey is ready to go. He can do this. He can do that. And you definitely ain't getting no veteran leadership in that. The two most dependable guys are Maxey and McCain is off on TikTok. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This draft is literally Cooper Flag or bust. It's not a sexy draft.
I like Dylan Harper.
I do too, but I'm saying from top to bottom.
Sure,
you're right. But I think Dylan Harper and his skill set being silky smooth. I'm telling you, he's like I always call somebody that like a bootlegger. He's a bootleg version of Shea Alexander because he's
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah, smaller, but
they're similar.
Cunningham is what 6'6". I thought he was 6'8".
Yeah,
sorry.
Harper's 6'5".
Yeah, so you're right but I think the pace that he can play at different paces reminds me of Shea because Shea can get up and go, but he prefers to kind of play at Shea's pace. That's where I think. But then Dylan Harper also being able to be a bully like Cade Cunningham as a rookie will pay dividends as well, where you can play all 82 games and not break down. And then he obviously has the the family history of it too. So I like Dylan Harper, but I think everybody else is kind of hit or miss, and that's the NBA draft. But then also I think especially as this draft, I think if Cooper Flag continues to, I guess if he ends up playing well, then I think it makes the rest of the draft look a lot better. Because if they doesn't, then it's like it was all for nothing. And there's a lot of pressure, but I think Dallas is the perfect situation for him.
Sure.
And you're playing with some veterans. You're gonna come in and start and play, but then also it's a great city for him to start at too. Now, organization and the owners,
we'll see.
Yeah, I'd like it better if Mark Cuban was there because he's been through the process before and he knows how to kind of protect him and nurture him. Now we're gonna see if they try to move Dallas to Vegas and stuff like that.
I think that'd be so stupid if they did that.
And I don't think it'd be good for Cooper Flag though. No. You're going from Maine to Vegas. There's a lot of distractions.
It's Zach Wilson 2.0 then potentially,
and a lot of pressure going there. But I think this draft is full of like good pieces, right? So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I remember like Kasparis Jukuninas, Jakashonis was one of the guys that was out against Nebraska when
he played.
Oh, he played. Yeah. But the other. I always get them. Remember, I always get
Tomislav, the visit. He was out. Yeah,
I called them the Europeans, the European connection. One of them was gone, but you got to think about him, who looked okay against Nebraska, right?
Yeah,
lottery pick. So it's a lot of the NBA draft is not all, a lot of its potential, size, and can you fit a certain I call it a script.
Yeah.
So we shall see. But we got a couple minutes, and I'll do my thing. I'm gonna go with Portland. I was gonna do Pittsburgh Steelers. We're gonna save that for old school.
Ooh, okay.
Because the schedule came out, they said Aaron Rodgers wasn't a factor, but Mike Tomlin was. I call B. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Portland Trailblazers. They're projected here on ESPN to take Derek Queen, which I think is great. Here's the problem with it. Here's the big problem with the Trailblazers. You know who I'm going to talk about. Your boy DeAndre Ayton, who said he couldn't come to work because there's too much ice in his driveway.
Snowed in.
Yeah. And he has a somewhat of a max contract. The organization I grew up as a Portland, not a fan of Portland Trailblazers. I used to enjoy when they had, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, and all those guys, Terry Porter. They were tough out, right?
Yeah.
And then when Pippen came there, I felt like they got hosed against the Lakers.
They did.
When they had Rasheed Wallace and all them. And so they were up and coming franchise, kind of off the beaten path, but players loved playing there. Remember when they had Ruben Patterson and all those guys, right?
Zach Randolph,
and it was like a place
Brandon Roy,
where you could kind of,
hey,
what?
Trust me, I know.
What if?
I'm familiar.
But you think about it, the organization as a whole was on the come up. It's so bad now. Phil Knight doesn't even want to purchase it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah,
and I think they have a really good coach in Chauncey Billups. But look when you think about it. DeAndre Ayton was their big trade, right? Which I'm sure. There goes Dave from there. He is.
Hey, Dave.
See there, talking junk rolling down O Street. That's my man. So they get DeAndre Ayton, right? And then they also get Jeremy Grant. When you think about it, both of them are non-factors. Then they said, we're going to go.
Jeremy Grant's
good, but he's
not for that money.
Not for the money.
Overpaid, but still serviceable.
Serviceable, but you're getting Pizzade.
Yes.
Those were the two guys that were going to, essentially what I'm saying is those are the two guys that are supposed to be the bell cows of your franchise.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton ain't even talked about. You talked about the guy that was when he was in Phoenix, when they lost to Giannis and them in the NBA championship. He was part of kind of them being somewhat competitive when he was really, really motivated.
Yeah.
Now you're up in Portland, off the court issues and all that. Then you say, we're going to bring him along with, and then obviously you got rid of your bell cow. And then now you say, okay, we're going to go young. You get Simmons and Sharp. And then I like Donovan Clingan, but I don't think I don't think they use him right.
Well, Jay, look at the centers on their roster. Ayton is a center.
Yeah.
Clingan is a center. Those two can't share the court. Duop Reith, who got some minutes for them, project sort of guy, and then Time Lord Robert Williams, who they traded for from Boston, for Drew.
But
that's too many centers.
Right,
you can't play those guys together.
Come one, come all. But I would rather get rid of two of those guys and roll with Donovan. Because I think he's athletic enough to be a rim runner and protector, and I think if you really work with him, a la how they tried to, Chauncey Billups in the pick and roll, because he's huge in the pick and roll. I think he can pick and pop and be a problem, kind of like Rasheed Wallace was late in his career.
Yeah.
But they're not able to do it because you got big contract in the end with DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got the projects in between that you feel somewhat obligated to kind of nurture.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the guy that you actually are not, the franchise not dependent on it,
Mm-hmm.
but you need it. So when you think about this right now, then they say, guess what they were going to do? We're going to get Derek Queen. So you're not. So,
There's another true center.
Right. So even though he's in the NCAAs, I think this is what that made him a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
The big shot, more athletic than people gave him credit for.
Good passer
and consistent down the stretch after the midway point for
after
him.
the Nebraska game. Really.
He went on a heater, and then that's how you end up going in the lottery. But you look at this lineup, and then you look at the potential. Like, even though they have my man Delano Banton, there's no way, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a freight train coming right at him, and that's the rest of the NBA.
Well, they don't necessarily have that franchised guy. Scoot Henderson played better, but wasn't necessarily looking the part. I think they should have traded Anthony Simons when they could.
Yeah.
That's a dude that is good. Like that can be a guy that I think can be a third, fourth option on a winning team, maybe not a finals team, but they didn't get anything out of him. They're going to keep him around. I like Shaden Sharp. He's fun. How much does he impact winning? I'm not necessarily sure. Jeremy Grant, when's the end of his contract? Can you get something for him as an expiring? Get that money off your books, maybe eat a little bit of the money for it there. And on the sneak, Jay, Denny Avdija did play better.
Yeah.
He was not very good in Washington, but he is starting to come along. Do I think he's a centerpiece? No, but I think he can be a second banana. Like, to me, Denny Avdija can be Franz Wagner West.
I like that comparison. I like it. But you have to nurture him.
You have to.
With like Wendell Carter,
Mm-hmm.
who's Donovan. If you take that like blueprint, move it all the way up there to Pacific Northwest, you got something going on. And here you talked about Scoot Henderson and Simmons. They're the same. I mean, in this day and age of NBA, you can't have 6'3", 210, 210-pound guards.
No.
And they're both playing the same position.
Yeah.
Because you need something to offset that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have it. And they're wasting away young talent and opportunity by keep drafting centers. You better they either better trade. They need to try to package some deals to get up there and get somebody that they really, really like. And if you really want to go and put your neck out there, start giving away some players and try to get up there and get that Dylan Harper or somebody like that, where you can say, you, Donovan, and Denny or whoever, you three are going to lead us, because that's exactly what Orlando did.
Harper, Avdija, and Klingon.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Right.
That's fun.
And it's sellable.
Yeah.
And it's a new face and a new look. And it kind of goes along with the identity of your head coach.
Yeah.
This isn't the identity of their head coach.
No.
It's like, all right, take a couple of my bad pieces, make it work. And none of
if you don't make it work, you're fired.
And DeAndre Ayton doesn't want to come to work. Anyways, we're up against the clock. Jay Foreman, Austin Norman. Quick break. We'll be right back.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
At Allo, we go beyond internet, bringing you faster speeds backed by an all-fiber network. We go beyond TV and phone service, delivering reliable, crystal clear connections. We go beyond customer service with local teammates and no robots for a hassle-free experience. We go beyond value, offering transparent prices with no contracts, hidden fees, or data caps. We even go beyond our office doors by working, hiring, volunteering, and living in the communities we serve. Go beyond fiber. Sign up today at allofiber.com.
Are you buying a home? Westgate Bank understands that you need to make important decisions during your home buying journey. Our local lenders in Lincoln and Omaha make themselves available so you can get the information you need to know. Use our mobile mortgage app to manage your transaction from pre-qualification to closing, no matter where you are. Get the service and convenience you want from a local community bank where our interest is you. Learn more and visit us online at westgate.bank. Westgate Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Advanced Medical Imaging is the largest radiology group in Nebraska, located in Lincoln at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they utilize state-of-the-art technology and blend it together with their compassionate, skilled team to guide you through every step. Whether it's an MRI, CT scan, or X-ray, their precise diagnostics help your doctor deliver the best care plan for you. Choose clarity and comfort in your life by choosing Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard and online at amimaging.com.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Upgrade your fleet with a pre-owned 8R tractor from Landmark Implement. We offer a wide selection of used John Deere 8Rs, ready to bring power and precision to your operation. For a limited time, take advantage of 2.9% financing for 36 months, followed by 6.2% for 24 months. We'll help you find the right fit for all your acres, all backed by Landmark's trusted parts and service department. Visit landmarkimp.com or stop by your local Landmark location today and experience the Landmark difference.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Final segment of On the Block. Austin Norman, Jay Foreman with you. Thanks to Love Volleyball Omaha for their sponsorship of the final segment of our show. No Royals tonight. They get an off day before taking on St. Louis tomorrow at the K. Jay, do the Thunder close it out tonight? Or do the Nuggets force a Game 7 in OKC?
What happens? I'm trying to see because Bloodline has a little illness.
Under the weather. Got a little bug. That's how you drew it up.
That's not exactly how I envision Bloodline representing to the fullest. So I think it's over.
The Jokic, can he do enough? Does he have one more in him to get him to a Game 7?
I think he does, but I don't think it'll happen.
Michael Porter Jr. step up? Christian Brown game? Russell Westbrook renaissance? He wants OKC and OKC one more time? Leave his mark? Leave a legacy?
Man, and plus Denver's playing at home, though, too.
I'm saying altitude. Quick turnaround.
I can't. I always told myself, you never bet against a savage.
Heart of a champion.
And Joker's a savage. But
Straight
then part of
savage.
me figures that he wants to go ride his horses.
Could be.
Because he wants to get... But I don't think he'll ever tap out. I'm going to go... you know what? I'm going to go with Denver.
We get a Game 7.
I think we're going to get a Game 7, and then I think...
And you know why you want a Game 7. More rest for them T-Wolves.
Yeah, they don't. Nobody wants to see Ant-Man right now. You know, it's not even Ant-Man. It's Julius Randle.
Julius Randle.
When healthy and motivated, he's a problem.
Mm-hmm. And playing in the system.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which shout out Chris Finch for that. Like, never flinched at adding Julius Randle. Like, you look at the Timberwolves roster from afar, like, okay, there's a bunch of spare parts. Good players up and down the roster, but like, okay, what's the fit? Chris Finch has been a magician making that work for a couple of years.
Not only with that, he made it work with, we just talked about with the plethora of centers that Portland has. He's made it work with 2 huge 7-footers.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they have different skill set, but then also you had another pretty much 6'10 plus guy coming off Naz Reid to the point that he developed at enough pace that you paid him an extension and got rid of Cat.
Hear me out. Golden State should make a run at Naz Reid in the offseason.
He'd be perfect in their system.
I had that thought last night.
Steve Kerr would have a field day with it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's made himself into a viable option. And then obviously I think the emergence of Julius Randle has allowed Dante to play more free. And he's starting to really start to play well too.
Yeah.
I liked him coming out of college. I felt like he kind of was buried in
well, he's the 6th man.
Yeah.
He did the Grayson Allen thing, except he went pro instead of coming back.
Right. But I was like in New York, I just felt like he was kind of overshadowed. So I think it's a good opportunity for him.
Obviously, we're talking some Steelers during Old School. What else?
We're going to go more into the NFL schedule.
Nice.
And, the NFL didn't do the Steelers any favors, but I think they assumed that Aaron would be in the building by now.
Right.
And we're gonna go through the timeline, what it's like when the schedule comes out and what it's like as a player.
And the Colts did Tyreek Hill dirty. So
yeah, they
sorry,
apologized though.
They did.
Yeah.
Tyreek said keep it up.
He don't mean it though. Tyreek doesn't even want to be there. He's just having a good time. The one thing about Tyreek Hill though, he said he likes to fish.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Fishing for something might not be fish.
Keep him out of trouble. We got a little PGA Tour,
Your boy Scotty in Burnt Orange. 2 years in a row.
Rough start there down in Charlotte for a lot of guys, though.
Yeah.
But they have
Trevor will do that to you, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that and more on Old School. On the Block and Old School, both brought to you by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. Load up on meat and more this spring at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese with great selections of T